Let's talk about the Mets' dream offseason. They've got a lot of money to spend. They have the richest owner in baseball, and they were just on the brink of being a World Series team, losing to the Dodgers in the NLCS. They got to get better if they want to get there. This team was not good enough this past season, and with the crazy free agent market and the incredible trade market that's available this offseason, the Mets have a chance to really make some noise. So we're going to run through what would be our dream offseason for the New York Mets going into the 2025 season. James, for the people at home, get it started. Let us know where we're starting with the payroll, luxury tax, CBT, Cohen, all that stuff.
All right, so right now, as it stands on the 2nd, Wednesday, recording November 13th at 1:49 p.m., the Mets competitive balance tax payrolls at $178.71 million. And this year, the luxury tax thresholds are the first one is $241 million. The next one is $261 million. I'm not even going to talk about what happens at those thresholds because I have a lot of confidence the Mets are going to blow past at least the first one, almost definitely the second one. Then we start to get to the third threshold. That's $281 million. And that threshold, you have a 95% tax rate on that. So every single dollar the Mets spent over that, you get taxed 95% on that. And then the last threshold, the Cohen tax, $301 million, up from last year, where last year that threshold was at, I can't find it quickly right now, but I think it was probably $10 million less. I think it's about 291. At that one, you get taxed 110% of that. So that means until the last luxury tax threshold, the Mets have, as we've been saying this whole offseason, about $133 million of salary for the 2025 roster to spend until they have to pay the most tax penalties. And at the threshold, your draft pick gets affected too, like we've seen the last couple of years as well. So that's kind of what the Mets had to play with, and that is an unbelievable amount of stuff to play with. So I think we're going to be able to play a lot underneath that number.
Yeah, no, the Mets definitely have some room to improve this team, which, again, had a pretty good run last year. You're obviously missing some pieces that you need to pay in a Pete Alonso or the pitching staff. But I think if we're talking about a dream offseason, you guys have been listening to episodes, been videos. The only place we can start is with Juan Soto. Give him the money. Give him the money, whatever it is, pay him. We've been talking more and more about what Juan Soto's contract can realistically look like. I think it's hard to kind of figure out how many years he's truly going to get. But I think in terms of AAV, Aaron Judge gets paid $40 million a year right now. Juan Soto, at this exact moment, is not better than Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is a better baseball player, but Juan Soto's 26 years old. So he's going to get paid more AAV. And I don't know how much more realistically can go above $50 million a year at that point. Like, it's going to be tough. The thing that's going to make it crazy is going to be the length.
I think the absolute max, a full-on ceiling for what Juan Soto is going to make in 1 year is $50 million. I don't think there's any chance it steps above that.
Happy to pay him more if that means he's a New York Met. Don't care.
Sure,
Not our money, but I think just
we're predicting.
Yeah, from a market standpoint, how can it go above $50 million?
No, there's no player that makes more than 40. That's what Aaron Judge makes. And I think that Juan Soto is probably going to, I'm sure that him and Scott Boras want to beat the $700 million price tag Shohei Ohtani set last offseason as the top contract any baseball player has ever received in guaranteed money ever, by a lot. So I think that when you put together the massive years he's going to get, I'm sure they asked for him to be paid through his age 40 season, which will be a 15-year contract, and he wants to get above $700 million AAV. So just as a loose prediction I'm making here, 15 years, $705 million, $47 million per year. That feel okay to you?
Sign me up. Sign me up all day for Juan Soto, who is the closest thing we've seen to the next Ted Williams. I mean, you look at what Juan Soto does every single year from age 19 to 25. His 162-game average, because you got that COVID season in there too, so I like the 162-game average. He's got 35 homers, 31 doubles, 100 RBIs a year with a 285 average, 421 on base, 532 slugging, and a 953 OPS. I mean, those numbers are absolutely disgusting. That is one of the best players in Major League Baseball. I know the conversation of a lot of people has been, well, he's eventually going to become a DH. He's not great in the outfield. Guys, I don't give a shit. I do not care what Juan Soto does in the outfield when he is one of the best hitters in all of Major League Baseball. And guess what? Nobody else in Major League Baseball cares about his defense. He had a 7.9 baseball reference WAR last year. That was with dog shit defense. He was one of the most valuable, one of the most valuable players in all of Major League Baseball. Please stop with the defensive comments, because what matters the most in this game at the end of the day is scoring runs. And Juan Soto is going to give your team one of the best opportunities to have any player in Major League Baseball to score as many runs as possible.
Even to give some historical context to some of those numbers, I went on StatHead and I got where Juan Soto ranks in the history of baseball of all players ever before turning 26 years old who've at least played 4 full seasons in major leagues. He's the 5th highest OPS of any player before turning 26 years old, the 4th highest OPS plus, the 5th most home runs, even though he did have two-thirds of a season pulled away from him in COVID, and the 2nd highest on base percentage. And the guys ahead of him are players like Alex Rodriguez, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Ken Griffey Jr., Ted Williams. Like, these are the types of players that Mickey Mantle was a big one that was ahead of him, basically all of them. I'm like, damn, Mickey Mantle was so fucking good. But those are the kind of guys ahead of him and everything. And then to make it even more value, throw it on top of Juan Soto, he's basically the youngest free agent ever.
Yeah.
Truthfully. The only other player that's been a free agent this early in their career was Alex Rodriguez, who was also 26 years old when he hit the open market. And at the time, that was a free agency. Probably a lot of people listening to this don't remember it. I even barely remember it, but I do remember a good part of it. At the time, that was the craziest story in sports, Alex Rodriguez free agency. He was taking private jets everywhere. The Mets, I think, were going to give him a private jet. He was taking like 6 meetings with the Red Sox. The Yankees were kind of involved. He wound up going to the Texas fucking Rangers just because they offered him the most money. And they went broke, and they had to trade him 2 years later because they couldn't afford to pay his salary anymore. But that's kind of where we're at with Juan Soto. And I love how the fever pitch is right now, where everything, especially in New York media about this. Like, Francisco Lindor landed in LA yesterday for what was reported first to be a meeting with Juan Soto. And then people were like, no, he literally has a photo shoot with Oakley, who sponsors him. TMZ was following Francisco Lindor around the LA airport about Juan Soto. Could you imagine that shit for a second? That Mad Libs to a Mets fan 5 years ago? TMZ is following Francisco Lindor around LAX because you're supposed to meet with Juan Soto. Like, that alone is hilarious and a shit ton of fun, and just happy that we're in this. And I really love that, not like some other off seasons, it feels like him and Scott Boras are planning to get this done very quickly. The meetings have begun. It is Wednesday, November 13th. Meetings have begun with Juan Soto. Like, we're going to have multiple teams meet with him in the next 3 days. In 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, we could actually have this be over. And that would be just, it's nice that we're like in hyperdrive for how quickly it's going to happen compared to previous off seasons, but it's a mix of anxiety and excitement.
Yeah, I think they said he will be at the winter meeting, so I think that's probably around the time, the latest that it would happen. Yeah, that's when you can expect this to wrap up. And again, Juan Soto is a future Hall of Famer. He is 26 years old. He's only ever been one of the best players in baseball. This is the guy you spend all the money on. You give him a blank check. You say, what do you want, Juan Soto? How do we get you to be a New York Met? And you bring him into this franchise to be a part of what could be one of the best cores that we've ever seen for the New York Mets, with Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, and hopefully a couple more players.
And we were talking with Matt Eddy in our group chat, and he was saying that it's definitely not lost on Steve Cohen that they lost that series to the Dodgers, and he could see the top-heavy lineup that mostly beat us, where you could Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and Mookie Betts, and you're like, I see what they have, and I want that for myself.
And then even looking across town to the Bronx and seeing the Yankees with an inferior roster make the World Series because of a guy like Juan Soto. He changes a franchise. He won a World Series with the Nationals after Bryce Harper left. He was the guy to win the World Series. Juan Soto is the dude. And by the way, all he wants to do is win. He wants to get paid his big
100%.
money. And as soon as he signs, he's like, how do we win? And that's what I like too about him being quick. He signed quick. I've got all the power in the market. Now we can go get the players to help the other team. So we give Juan Soto that $47 million for 15 years. What does that put us at money-wise? And then where are we spending next, James?
So where that puts us at, also, I'm going to add Luis Severino's qualifying offer to this too, because I'm assuming that he's going to accept that. We're not going to get that news until Friday, I believe, or Saturday is when that happens. And then that will put us at $236 million for still a very incomplete roster. That'll give us kind of like 4 starting pitchers, like half a bullpen, still no first baseman or no third baseman, depending on how we want to go from here. And but now we have a full outfield and what I could call a very, very good lineup, even though it's still incomplete. But that would put us at $236 million. So that means we have $65 million left to spend on this roster.
Okay, and where are you spending it next? Are we going first base Pete Alonso, or are we going third base Alex Bregman?
This is our dream offseason, right? We're doing whatever we want here. It's up to us. This is Mark and James' dream Mets'd up offseason. I want to give the money to Pete Alonso. What about you?
I do too.
Okay.
I don't want to give it to Adames or Alex Bregman. I want imagine a lineup with Pete Alonso, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, not in that order. I don't know why I went that's the backwards order. I would go Lindor, Soto, Pete. But oh my God. And then you got Vientos in there and you got Brandon Nimmo, like 1 through 5. That's insanely good.
No, insane. The only thing about Pete, add to that core, again, people talk shit about Soto's defense. Don't care about the Soto defense.
Don't care. Yeah.
Don't care. And Pete defense, 2 guys who are slow. Again, do not care. Those guys will combine for 80 home runs next year,
maybe
which is
90,
a really good thing.
Which would be cool.
Possibly. Anyway, we are banking in the Pete bounce back. I think that we are going to just have a slightly more favorable view of Pete because We've seen him play every single game in his career. I truly believe that last year's struggles and the year before, one, a lot came from a wrist injury. Wrist injuries take a long time to heal. They're very complicated, especially for power hitters. And two, just like he seemed nervous. He seemed a little scared. He was squeezing the bat tight. The fact that he rounded back out into the playoffs when he was able to wash away and like feel less pressure was weird. That Pete may have felt less pressure in the playoffs, but that's just the kind of golden retriever he is. I want Pete back in this team. There will be some concerns with the team's overall athleticism, but I will take the 80 home runs over the athleticism. We could find athleticism elsewhere. I mean, and we have young players that can come up for athleticism. So if this is our dream offseason, give me Pete Alonso. And to give him a contract I think he would accept, 6 years, $144 million, $24 million AAV.
Which I might even say might be a little much, but again, dream off.
I think it is a little much.
Yeah, dream off season to keep him here. I would be happy, especially if Juan Soto is a part of this future as well. Like that would send me over the moon. Offensively, I'm kind of good. Like I don't really need anything else there because you got Lindor, you got Vientos, you got McNeil, maybe Jose Iglesias if we're going to add him to the dream off season. You have the young guys that can play the middle infield. The outfield is pretty much set. Like that would be clean your hands. Offense is good.
Yeah, and that I got to that peak contract, 6 for 144, 24 million AAV, just because the AAV is in between Olsen and Freeman, which I think is exactly where Pete Alonso lies. I think he probably is a little bit better than Matt Olsen. He's definitely worse than Freddie Freeman. It's a little bit more than we offered them last year, so we could still bring that back as a win for not signing the extension, hitting the open market, so you don't kind of embarrass him. It's the same years as Freddie Freeman, which Freeman was older, but he's also better, so it kind of evens out. And again, this feels like a bit of an overpay, but this is our dream offseason, so I don't give a fuck. And now, with that contract for Pete, would be a $260 million, $51 million left. We basically have a complete lineup. We probably could still use defensive center fielder. We'll be able to handle that later down the line. And we still need to figure out the rotation. We basically have 3.5 starting pitchers right now, with the half being Paul Blackburn. And I guess maybe 4, because a half's Paul Blackburn, a half's Tyler McGill. But it would be Kodai Senga, Luis Severino, and David Peterson. So now we have to focus on the rotation.
Yes, and if you've been watching any of our stuff, you know where I'm going. I want Garrett Crochet. He's the best pitcher available on the trade market right now. He's disgusting. I know it's been a very small sample. I know he's dealt with injuries. I know he's playing in the AL Central with the White Sox, but 99 from the left side with that fastball, devastating breaking balls. Like everything that we saw from Garrett Crochet last year from a stupid organization just alarms and signals that this guy is going to be one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball for years and years to come. And the thing that you love about Garrett Crochet, one, young, not a lot of innings on that arm. I know he had that injury. That's part of it. But
yeah, why doesn't he have the innings on the arm?
But he also didn't throw that much either at Tennessee. Just that kind of how college baseball was working. He's 25 years old. He will be 26 in June next year. So he's incredibly young. And him and his agent, CAA, they've been saying that whatever team he would get traded for, he's ready to sign an extension as well.
Of course.
Which would probably be relatively cheap considering the top-end talent that you could be getting out of Garrett Crochet.
Yeah, but I also don't think it'd be relatively cheap. I think the best thing that Garrett Crochet could bring the Mets this year, alone from being like a real number one starting pitcher, is the fact that he won't cost anything. Baseball perspective, this season. I mean, the next few seasons, he still has 2 more years of team control, and his arbitration numbers will be nothing because he has not pitched. Baseball Prospectus is projecting him for a $3 million salary after arbitration this year. So let's say you trade for Garrett Crochet. That puts us at $263 million. We just got a frontline starting pitcher. Now we still have nearly $50 million, $40 million here to spend. But even to talk a little bit more about Crochet, last year, I like that he was dominant. The White Sox wanted to trade him. They couldn't find a trade partner. And then rather than shut him down or make him start and stop, he just went like 50 pitches for the rest of the year. Stayed on schedule, keep that arm healthy, keep loose, keep fresh. And as he was doing this, he was tinkering a little bit more with his pitch mix. He was throwing more two-seam fastballs. He developed a sweeper that he was throwing a lot more towards the end of the year that he kind of got rid of in the summer. This is someone who seems to be really ready to take even a step past he took last year and truthfully be one of the best pitchers in baseball. And you can see in a small sample last year. I love the stats, strikeout minus walk rate. I talk about almost every single time we talk about pitching. 30%, one of the highest in the league. Up there with Skubal, up there with Sale, up there with Skeens. Like that is the echelon pitcher Garrett Crochet has the ability to be with his fastball, with his cutter, with that sweeper, two-seamer, and changeup developing. There's no holes in what this guy is as a pitcher. And then it brings us to kind of what you think we'd have to trade for him, because that's where we have to take the discussion now. It's still our dream offseason, but we have to be fair. We're still baseball guys. We know ball through and through. What do you think it actually takes to trade for Garrett Crochet?
Well, apparently the White Sox want position players. That's what they've said. And luckily for the Mets, we do have a lot of close to major league ready position players, I think Jet is going to be a guy. I think there's kind of no way that you can get Garrett Crochet without trading Jet Williams. If you can, even better. Would love to have Jet here. Looks like a great prospect, great dude. But I feel like it starts with Jet Williams, top prospect in the organization, a dude who could be a cornerstone for the White Sox, maybe up the middle because they're not particularly strong there. Maybe they want a Drew Gilbert. Maybe they want I know a lot of people are throwing out Beatty and Mauricio. I just don't think that they have the value to get a guy like Garrett Crochet like people think. The White Sox are dumb, but they're not as stupid as they once were. And they just kind of made that mistake-ish with Miguel Vargas. But even then, they didn't give up as much because it was a reliever.
Kopech.
Yeah, it was a reliever. And as good as Kopech was for the Dodgers, he's not Garrett Crochet. So I think it's going to have to be Jet Williams in a combination of like Ryan Clifford or Drew Gilbert or one of those other big top prospect hitters that the Mets have right now in their farm system, along with maybe you throw in a lesser pitcher, but like a younger one, like a Jonah Tong.
I weirdly think that Mauricio probably has significantly more value than you're giving him credit for. Like,
he's not Beatty. He's not Beatty level. That's a mistake.
I wouldn't put him and Beatty in the same category, especially because, like you said, the White Sox did just acquire Miguel Vargas, who was kind of like the Dodgers version of Brett Beatty this season. So they're not going to get two of them, especially because they play basically the same position. Their best position, probably each of them is third base. So you look at where the White Sox are. I'm not saying that you should be like seeking positions because like every single team who's this bad should be going for positions. But the one prospect that they have that's a lock, not a lock, no prospect's ever a lock, that seems close to it is Colson Montgomery.
At least he's a major leaguer, yeah.
Yes, he's a monster at shortstop, but I still do think that I agree with you that no, you do not get Garrett Crochet without Jet Williams. But past Jet Williams, I don't think you have to give as beefy of a package that you're insinuating either. I think you might be able to do it with Jet, and then you might have to trade one of the lower minors guys who I love, like Jesus Baez, who's like rising up everyone's big boards right now. Baseball America had him in their top 10, Joe DeMayo had him in the top 10, especially as a guy like Drew Gilbert has fallen because his defensive ability in center field has kind of, again, also like fallen by the wayside. But maybe you do him and Baez, maybe you do Jet and Clifford. But I do think that the Mets have enough position players where you can give up two or three of those guys, one of the pitchers who's a little further away, or Blade Tidwell if they want a guy that's closer with less ceiling. And you can get this thing done and really not feel that bad about it. No. And you guys heard Jet Williams in this podcast. He sounded like he thought there may have been a little bit of a chance he could get traded.
Yeah, a little bit. He was like, he's like, I know I'm not going to play shortstop for the Mets.
Yeah. It's like, that's where I want to play, so we'll see what happens. But it just seems like this is a really doable trade. It wouldn't gut the Mets farm system as much as some people think it would, because we do have a lot of guys that are close to the majors. Like, you'll still be able to keep, I think, at least you're trading Jet. I think you keep one of, or two of, Gilbert, Mauricio, Luis Angel Acuna. And then you could probably keep, again, like Clifford, then you have Baez. I don't think you're trading Sproat, and I don't think you're trading McLean. I think those are two guys the Mets will not trade unless they maybe swing another deal. But I mean, maybe they do trade them. But it seems like that you can get this deal done for about three prospects, and then you can call that a day. And then you have Garrett Crochet, and now we're back to the dream offseason, and we're at $263 million, $38 million left to spend under the last threshold. And that's not saying that's where the Mets are going to stop either.
For sure, yeah.
I
think for the purpose of this video, we'll stop at 301. I think we'll say
around
like
there.
301, 305. That's kind of where we're going to go. We're not going to go crazy and be like, they're going to spend $400 million. Like, that's not going to happen. But I think we can go above the threshold a little bit responsibly here. And with that money left, we got to attack the bullpen. Got to get some depth on the team, and probably need just a couple more arms in the starting rotation. So
definitely,
I'm gonna go to you here. Where do you want to start on the next guy?
I mean, maybe just to knock something out early this team definitely needs. Like, again, we need someone that can play center field on a daily basis. Defense will be a little more valuable to this roster now that you have Juan Soto and Pete Alonso on it. You need someone that can run. You need someone that can move a little bit. To me, it makes tons of sense still to go back to the well and just give Harrison Bader $8 million to come back to town.
You wouldn't rather trade for Cedric Mullins?
I think with Cedric Mullins, again, it comes back to this thing with me with the Orioles. What are you giving the Orioles that they do not have that they actually want?
But they just pitching.
What pitcher are you giving them?
Blade Tidwell.
I wouldn't give Blade Tidwell for 1 year Cedric Mullins. That's too much.
What? How about someone else in the minors? I don't know. Like, I don't think he's going to cost anything. I think they're going to be looking to give him away.
I don't think they're going to give him away because they're a team that's trying to push forth to a pennant. So you have to give them something that they can actually
use. He's redundant.
Use.
He's redundant. They don't need him.
But it doesn't matter. You don't give away assets for free. We're not giving each other free stuff. Like, you got to get something back in return. You got to trade something.
You give the Orioles too much credit for their farm system, thinking they don't want Mets prospects.
I don't think that they're looking for a prospect right now. I think again, maybe Cedric Mullins does make sense, but you have to organize a 3-team trade where someone's giving the Orioles something in the major leagues that they could use.
Okay.
And then you get
Brett
Cedric
Beatty.
Mullins.
Take Brett Beatty. They don't have a they need a lefty.
Brett Beatty would be the 9th worst third baseman in their system. Truthfully, it wouldn't even be close. But I do like the concept of Cedric Mullins, but I just don't see it as being any kind of realistic. You can't give me a trade. So tell me the trade.
Tyler McGill for Cedric Mullins.
That actually might work. I'm not even kidding.
See?
That actually might be the deal. Oh, damn. I guess I would do that.
I gave you one.
Maybe you want, is that the dream offseason? But get rid of Tyler McGill?
No, you can't pay. I don't know, Harrison Bader. At that point, just let Drew Gilbert play. Fuck it. See what he's got.
But they don't think he can play center field anymore. That's really come out of his bag. They're
like
kind of saying he doesn't have it anymore.
I don't know. Maybe. I was also told, other guys couldn't do things on these teams, and then they end up being a good player. So I don't know.
Again, on this team, the way we have it set up right now, it's our dream offseason. Get back to it.
My dream will never include Harrison Bader on the team. Never.
Well, all right, then give me another center fielder then. That's actually realistic.
Give you another one. Brandon Nimmo plays center field, put Marte in left field, and you got Juan Soto in right field. That's it.
We just need that. We need someone to run down a ball. I'm just trying to get this one out of the way because I think it's something that David Stearns will absolutely prioritize.
Tyrone Taylor's going to be playing center field too. So, is there a lefty that can play center field? I don't think having 2 righties there really makes sense for the build of this team again, because then you're running into the problem of where Harrison Bader's going to become useless again at some point.
You want Garrett Hampson? Can he play center field?
He's not a lefty.
Oh, he's a righty?
Yeah, he's a righty. There is no lefty free agent available. I think you have to go to the trade market, and it will probably be a Tyrone Taylor type like they got last year. I don't know who that is, to be fair, but
so maybe it is Cedric Mullins. Maybe the only one is Cedric Mullins.
Or,
honestly, what?
No, never mind. Max Kepler can't play center field. My bad.
No, he definitely cannot play center field.
Yeah.
If you want a guy who can defensively play center field, what?
Your boy Verdugo could probably play a little center field.
No, I don't think he can. If the Yankees played fucking Aaron Judge there over him, there's no way.
We'll see. All right, so whatever. We know that there's going to be another center fielder taken, whoever it is, $8 million or less. I don't know who the name is. It can't be Harrison Bader. Think about what you're saying. In a dream offseason, I want Harrison Bader.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
that
this is a dream.
This is the video.
Yeah, I guess you're right, but I'm saying we have to be realistic about this. David Stearns is going to get a defensive center fielder.
It's a dream.
I want to be a little bit realistic for the people at home, but I mean, Tyler McGill actually for Cedric Mullins does make sense. That actually would be the trade.
There you go. Done. Tyler McGill's gone. We got Cedric Mullins. Now we need more pitching.
All right, now we need some more pitching. All right, now back to the pitching side. Let's identify the next pitcher you want, starter or bullpen.
Starter.
You want to how much money do you want to spend on him? We have about $40 million left.
12 to 15.
12 to 15. I think that puts us in the range of. I said this the other day. This puts us in range for if you want to make Jeff Hoffman a starter as a weird thing.
I'll give you that. You took my Mullins. I'll give you Jeff Hoffman.
But again, I think we could also play around this a little more. Like, would you rather spend $12 to $15 million on, say, I probably not Andrew Heaney. I think I'd rather give Hoffman a shot than Andrew Heaney in that tier. Montes might get more than 12. We might be able to get him with 15.
I'd consider Montes. We've wanted Montes forever.
Alex Cobb. You want Cobb? You want Trevor Williams?
Michael Lorenzen?
Michael Lorenzen stinks.
Okay. I thought you
I'm off Michael Lorenzen now.
You're done with him now?
Yeah, I did some more research. I got off him.
Do you give Shane Bieber a shot?
He probably can't pitch much this year. He's got Juan Soto. The championship window's open.
He got hurt at the beginning of the year. He'd be ready by June, July, you'd hope.
What do you think you can give Shane Bieber for this deal? You have to probably be 2 for 40 at the minimum, right?
Yeah, that's probably fair, yeah.
So then do we spend $20 million of our $40 million on Bieber? Do we go after Kikuchi and Minaya? Is that the tier we shoot for?
I just feel like because of what we spent Minaya, it doesn't seem as realistic as Kikuchi. I think Manaya's going to get paid more than Kikuchi.
I think they're going to get paid basically the same. I think they're both going to get 3-year deals around $20 million per. Maybe 4 for 20. That's kind of where I'm at. Both.
If that's the case, give me Sean Manaea just for the vibes.
All right, so now we have Sean Manaea back for the vibes. Let's give him 4 years, $76 million, $19 million a year.
Give him 80.
Give him 80. All right, Sean Manaea got 80
a year. Yeah,
$20 million a year for Sean Manaea. So that puts us where at So now we were at 270 with name center fielder here. Oh no, we got Mullins. So we only got Mullins salary, but we're basically at it's almost 300 now.
Yeah,
and now 290.
And now we have fun with the relievers. Let's get crazy with some relievers, and this is where your forte is.
Yeah, all right. So $290 million right now. We gotta get some $3 million relievers. You want $3 million relievers?
I just want you to just name arms that you like.
Danny Coulombe.
Ooh, Danny Coulombe. Okay.
Yumi Garcia, Caleb Ferguson,
Jose Leclerc,
Brooks Raley, bring him back. Get the band back together.
I think Brooks Raley should come back. I'd actually really like him back. He was great.
Andrew Kittredge, Lucas Sims for $1 million.
Ooh, Lucas Sims
Jonathan
would be fun.
Loizaga for $2 million. Caleb Thielbar is an extra lefty for $3 million. You just put all those guys I just said together, you get 4 of them, and that puts us at what? $305 million?
Yeah.
So then where do we have the Mets roster right now, the dream roster? Let's just go through it right now to bring the people back in.
Catchers.
Oh, and wait. We're giving $2 million to Jose Iglesias for the vibes.
Yes, of course. He's back. Yeah, without a doubt. That OMG. Yeah. Catchers are Francisco Alvarez, Luis Torrens.
Yes.
First base, Pete Alonso.
Yes.
Second base, Jeff McNeil, Jose Iglesias.
Yes. And we're still keeping one of probably Luis Angel Acuna or Ronnie Mauricio.
Yes, whichever one, not sure, but whatever, doesn't matter.
Whoever the White Sox don't want.
Shortstop, Francisco Lindor. Third base, Mark Vientos. Outfield, Brandon Nimmo, Juan Soto, Starling Marte, Tyrone Taylor, and whoever the fifth one's going to be.
And Mark says Cedric Mullins, I think Harrison Bader.
Cedric Mullins, Harrison Bader, whatever it's going to be. DH, I guess we just...
Oh, we forgot about DH.
So who would be DH?
Juan Soto?
I guess he could DH too.
Starling Marte, Brandon Nimmo rotating DH.
Yeah, I think it would be a rotating DH, truthfully, if we get Juan Soto, just because there are so many guys on this team that you could put in the DH spot and give them a day off, give them a bump, whatever it's going to be.
Bring JD Davis back for the DH?
Oh, Jesus, no. Absolutely not.
Bring Jorge Polanco in, approve it 1 year for 10 for the DH second base?
No, you can't bring him as a DH guy. Absolutely not. DH is the only thing, but to be fair, when you get Juan Soto and Pete Alonso, and you can't really worry about who your DH is going to be. That's just figure it out as you go. So that's our hitters, and you plug and play. I don't care. I don't care who their other hitters are, honestly. It's not important to me. Pitching now.
Also, I'll tell you this. Cedric Mullins' projected salary for arbitration is $8.5 million.
There it is. Harrison Bader.
Yeah, same thing.
All right, so pitching, we have Garrett Crochet, Kodai Senga, David Peterson, Luis Severino, Sean Manaea. That's our 5.
That's a good 5.
That's a great 5. That's
really good 5. Question is, though, who's the 6?
The 6 is, maybe it's Brandon Sproat. Maybe it's Blade Tidwell. Maybe it's some of those AAA guys. Or maybe it's just like some random dude that you sign that is just kind of like, it's March and who was someone who hasn't signed? It's March and Chris Flexen's available. It's a terrible name to choose. That was the first one I saw.
Why would you do that? Spencer Turnbull.
Yeah, it's March and Spencer Turnbull is available. It's March and
Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, Matthew Boyd.
Alex Cobb,
Mike Soroka. I don't know. Those guys are available.
Jose Quintana. Soroka's going to be a reliever.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a reliever. But that's kind of then where we'd be. So that does leave us at $310 million, still needing probably 3 more players on this roster.
Probably, but that's where I trust David Stearns to just be better than we are at this. And
also,
to be fair, we did just say we're giving like a lot of extra money to guys. Maybe the deals will be cheaper. Also,
the last 2 years, the Mets payrolls were $375 million, $356 million.
Yeah.
So maybe us being at 310 is a little conservative. The last time the Mets made the playoffs, Steve Cohen put your salary at $375 million.
Yeah. But also, like, I feel like this team's better and we spent less money.
Yeah, I think that's a big part here, especially if you add in Juan Soto. And again, like maybe $2 million of AAV come off the Soto deal, $2 million of AAV come off the Pete deal, $1 million comes off the Manaea deal. Right there, we just bought another reliever at those $5 million.
Yes, or you get rid of one reliever and you get another starter, and that's kind of how it rolls. Like I think there's ways. Obviously, trading McGill for Mullins, that's probably not going to happen. But it's dream off season. We can dream. The boys can dream. Jordan Lyles maybe as our 6th starter.
Ooh.
Jordan Lyles, that guy always exists.
Get back Julio Teheran, Mets legend.
Guy won a game for us this year. Never forget Julio Teheran. But that feels like a pretty good offseason to me. Bullpen being Edwin Diaz and then everybody else. Oh, Stanik's got to come back, of course.
Stanek at the disco. He might price himself out, but like, if you can get him for like $7 million, like, yeah, sure.
Brooks Raley, bring him back.
I said Raley. Diaz, Garrett, Stanek, Budo, Loizaga. Dedniel Nunez. Oh my God, Dedniel Nunez is going to be back. Holy shit.
Dedniel Nunez will be back. Like the Mets, like they need relievers, but I think that's more so to just like keep the normies at bay. Like they've actually got some pretty good arms in that bullpen right now without signing anybody.
I say they have very cleanly half a good bullpen.
Yes, and then you plug and play and you figure it out. And just like David Stern said last year, our bullpen at the beginning of the year won't look like it will at the end of the year, and that's probably going to be the case again.
The bullpen in April won't even look like the one in June, and that's going to happen again. I mean, the only major league contract we've given out so far is Dylan Covey, who no one could have known who he was before that contract.
Maybe he's our 6th guy.
He might be the 6th guy. He actually could be the 6th star, at least the 7th star. That's another good point. I mean, it's just, again, this is the dream off season. We're making some fun content here. We've been doing a lot of it. David Stearns is going to do some shit that we'll never even expect, and we're going to look up and maybe like, fuck yes, we have David Stearns.
but really hope he checks the boxes on Juan Soto, Pete
Yeah.
Alonso, Garrett Crochet. I mean, that's
Those
the
are
dream. That's the dream.
those are 3 big ones. That's the trio that is the dream offseason right there. Whatever happens after that, it's filling in the rest. We probably will do an episode next week. Mark's going to Ireland later,
Yes.
so these 3 episodes, bang, bang, bang. They're probably not going to have another one for you guys till next Tuesday, but those are 3. Then we might probably start getting to nitty gritty. We just wanted to get this out there because the real offseason is going to start when these qualifying offers get accepted or declined this weekend.
Yeah.
2 more things before we go, right?
Yep.
Number 1, this episode is dedicated to Haji.
R.I.P. Haji.
Keith Hernandez announced on Twitter that he had to put down his beloved cat Haji, his beloved cat of 22 years, Haji.
So long.
This week, which is, that's an incredibly long time to have a cat. That's probably older than a lot of people listening to this podcast are,
Yep.
but this episode is dedicated to Haji. Shout out Haji. And another big one, at long last, the return of Frankie Peppers.
Frankie, yes. Oh my gosh. Off-season Frankie.
We have a voice message from Frankie, off-season Frankie. Minute 16, a lot of Frankie here. You ready to hit it?
Let's hit it.
Here comes Frankie.
Gentlemen, how you doing? This is Frankie Peppers. It's been a moment since I called in, since you listened to an Instagram of mine. And I just, like everybody else, sort of needed a little bit of time after the off-season. Every car out here, by the way, is trying to interrupt me sending you this message. So I'm just going to keep going. Just want you boys to be aware. I made some more lucky bolognese this past Saturday. The bolognese got us through the playoffs, and now I think this lucky bolognese is going to help these New York Mets and David Stearns ink Juan Soto to a 14-year, $52 million a year contract with a player option at the 5 and 10 years, in case he wants to reevaluate things, But I hope you boys are doing well. I hope the off-season's treating you well. I hope all the Mets'd listeners are doing well, too. I miss you all. And it's the off-season. Time for David Stearns to work his magic. I'll talk to you boys soon. Take care.
I think that
Go longer than a minute. Go longer than a minute. That's exciting news, isn't it? I'm not gonna continue here. I said what I wanted to say, but there's good news moving forward for old Frankie. Take care, boys.
I couldn't believe there was more.
That's good. That's good news moving forward for old Frankie. Thank you for Frankie Peppers. I feel like it picked up a lot of new listeners. For new listeners, that's Frankie Peppers. He's the patriarch of the podcast.
Yeah, he's the de facto call in whenever he wants, and we listen.
Yeah, he's a listener. Well, maybe we'll do a voicemail episode soon. But also, again, we're not going to have an episode for the next couple of days, but we've put out like 8 episodes in the last week and a half. So if you guys haven't, go back and listen to 5 Mets won't be back next season. What the Mets will do if they don't sign Juan Soto, 5 trade targets for the Mets, our interview with Jet Williams, Willie Adames versus Pete Alonso episode, talking about Roki Sasaki, and then we predicted where every single free agent will sign the other day too. So a lot of content for you guys. Get back. Make sure you catch all of them next couple days before we get back here. But offseason's about to get going. We're really fucking excited.
Yep. Make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube, Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, and make sure you hit that download button so you get all the episodes as soon as they drop. We do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the amazing support in the offseason. We got more coming at you. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And I'm Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. We will catch you all next week for another episode, unless the Mets do something crazy this weekend. I'm bringing this stuff to Ireland, so I'm always prepared. Peace out.
Peace out. See you guys next time. Let's go, Mets.